Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing off a pretty easy low-level Ironman prayer method. It's great for unlocking overhead prayers very early on with very little resources, and without having to risk going into the wilderness at all. This method can also be useful for mains not wanting to risk their bones in the wilderness, or for getting prayer without any starting GP. For this method you will need a few things. Firstly, some quest requirements. You will have needed to complete the Children of the Sun quest to unlock the Varlamore continent. Secondly, the Twilight's Promise quest is strongly recommended, as getting around Varlamore without it will be a total nightmare. Finally, you want to complete Dragon Slayer 1 for the anti-dragon shield. This isn't 100% required, but it is strongly recommended. If you want overhead prayers for that quest, I'd strongly recommend flinching Elvarg instead, as trying to train prayer without this shield is very difficult, slow and risky. As for the gear, you won't need much. You just need a Staff of Water, some air runes and some mind runes. Then just wear your best magic gear that you have. I did this on my Hardcore Ironman with very low magic levels and very basic magic gear that you can get in the first couple hours on an account and had absolutely no problems. From Civitas Illifortis, take the Quetzal bird to Tal Teclan. If you haven't completed the Twilight's Promise quest, I would take the rowboat to Tal Teclan instead, or just run here. Obviously if you have fairy rings unlocked, you can use those too. Once in Tal Teclan, you can resupply your runes in the magic shop if you run out. At the bank, gear up, bringing just the runes you need and maybe a couple items of food if you're worried. Although you hopefully won't be taking much damage, so once you've done it a few times, don't worry about the food. I've done this many times without it. Once all geared up, click over here and walk up to the log to the east of the bank. If you don't have the 40 agility required to walk up the log, just walk around to the south of the mountain and you'll be able to make it to the same spot. It just takes a little longer. From here, enter the cave. Once in the cave, make sure that you still have plenty of run energy and hopefully the anti-dragon shield, as without it the dragonfire can hit you for a potential max hit of 50. Run to the south of the cave and go to the tile which I've marked here, between the two stalagmites. Make sure your spell is set to Water Strike or any other water spell that you have the runes for, although Water Strike is by far the most economical. Start to use your magic on the dragons, filling up your inventory with just the bones. For your first run you could maybe also collect a few dragon hide for the ranging armor if you plan on crafting that yourself later. If not, just focus on the bones and any herbs or runes you particularly need, or any other drops you find useful. For me, I'm just going to be focusing on the bones. Be careful collecting the bones, as for the first 10 minutes in this cave, all the dragons will be aggressive towards you. After those 10 minutes have passed, you can run around safely, like so. Make sure when you first attack a dragon that your character doesn't automatically run out of the safe spot. This can sometimes occur if the dragon is too far away or to the side, and you can end up walking into a pretty dangerous situation, especially if you're not paying attention. While this method is pretty AFK and killing the dragons is reasonably safe, just make sure that you are paying attention so that you don't end up dying. What I would suggest is maybe getting the Runelight plugin that flashes when you take damage. That way you can, keep the game in a smaller window or on your second monitor and then focus on something else while you kill the dragons, just to make it a bit more bearable, but it shouldn't take too long regardless. Once you've filled your inventory with bones, feel free to return to the bank the same way you got here, stock up on food or runes if you need to, and return to the cave until you have a few inventories worth of bones stocked up in your bank. Once you're satisfied with the quantity of dragon bones you've banked, simply dump all your combat gear, bring a stack of cash and a chisel, and bring a full inventory of bones. Deposit one of them and bring your remaining bones as noted bones in that single slot. Next, head to the Tiamat. If you've completed the Twilight's Promise quest, you can Quetzal straight there. From the Quetzal, head up to the exposed altar and bless your bones. As you can see, one click does the full inventory's worth. Position your chisel in the bottom right slot in your inventory, and spam click the chisel on the blessed bones to make blessed bone shards. Once you've turned all of the bones in your inventory into blessed bone shards, use your noted bones on Virilis at the bottom of the altar to unnote them, repeating this process as many times as required to turn all your bones into blessed bone shards. Next, head to the Quetzalcoatl Gorge, using the Quetzal if you've completed the Twilight's Promise. As you can see, that quest is really turning out to be quite useful for getting around. Once here, speak to the bartender, whilst keeping your shards and money in your inventory. If you've forgotten anything, there is also a bank nearby. Buy a full inventory of wines. If you have any Sunfire shards from activities in Varlamore, make sure to use those on the wine for increased XP rates. I'm assuming, however, if you're watching this guide that you don't have any of those, and they aren't necessary for this guide. Head back to the Tiamat with your shards and your wines and use the wines on the exposed altar to make blessed wines. These can't be banked, so make sure you follow these steps in order to not waste your time or your GP. Next, run north into the closest building. Here we have 2 points of note, the large shrine of Ralos on the wall and the libation bowl. Head to the libation bowl and use a wine on it to get started. Next, spam click the bowl until you run out of prayer points. This will start using your wines and shards, granting prayer XP. As you can see, this will be using your prayer points, so once you run out, head to the Shrine of Ralos, which acts as a traditional altar to refill your points. Return to the bowl and repeat the process until you're out of wines or bone shards. Congratulations on your new prayer XP. At this point, feel free to repeat the process as many times as you need to get your overhead prayers. It's pretty quick, almost on par with that of the wilderness methods. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, please like the video and share it with anyone else who you think it might help. Good luck on your OSRS journey, and feel free to comment any tips for your fellow players down below. Cheers.